DeFi. All right, you want to explain what DeFi is?
Sure. So DeFi is short for decentralized finance. Think of decentralized finance as banking without a bank. If you look at, what's going on in the news recently with a lot of the lending, a lot of the lending and borrowing and staking protocols and companies that have gotten into trouble, the majority of those fall under the DeFi umbrella. It's essentially unregulated banking.
Hi, I'm Beth Hochberger, CPA, CGMA. This channel aims to educate you on tax, tech, crypto, and finance-related news. Come learn how to grow and keep your wealth.
Today, I have Mark Hindley from Cogent Bank. And Mark, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but we got connected because this bank is doing really cool stuff in the crypto space, right? Which is almost like a contradiction, right? A bank in the crypto space. So tell us a little about you, a little bit about the bank, what y'all are doing over there.
Yeah, so thanks, Beth. My name is Mark. I run the blockchain-enabled company, or the BEC division within Cogent Bank. I focus all of my time on Web3, blockchain, protocol development, anything to do with decentralized technology, decentralized ledgers, really working with clients to bring, the TradFi, the traditional finance world, to the Web3 community. And I think that's, really important. And hopefully we'll kind of digest that a little bit today. Cogent Bank's only been around for about 4 years. We started the bank.
New. I didn't realize that.
On the block, which is why no one's really heard of us outside of our core markets, which is Florida. We started the bank with 30 million in capital in 2018, and now we're about $1.4 billion. And we've grown so rapidly because we've been the bank that really embraces new technologies, emerging ideas, and sort of some riskier stuff that most banks won't do. We do cannabis banking, full blown. We have all kinds of specialty divisions, public finance, aircraft finance. On top of a traditional FDIC insured regulated bank, that's 5-star Bauer rated. So we see the block crypto ecosystem in really a couple of ways. Number one, we see it as being highly underserved. There's only really a handful of banks in the US that will quote unquote deal or are crypto friendly. And those banks are typically much, much larger than we are. And typically not near as responsive or as nimble as we are. We can typically work with and onboard a crypto blockchain project in a matter of days. And, most of our competitors take a matter of months. We've invested a lot in our infrastructure and our policy. We've invested in, blockchain protocols and even crypto hedge funds at the bank holding company level. So, there is a lot that we're doing. And I could talk a lot about what we're doing, but I think, for today, it's better just to focus on what the bank at a high level, what I see, what we see as this bridge between, TradFi and DeFi, which is, I think, going to be critical to the Web3 development long term.
All right, so let's take one step back for the folks who are like, what the hell are they talking about? So TradFi, but traditional finance, right?
Exactly. Banks, institutions,
the big money, right? The big old money, the Banks of Americas and all those, national chains, and some of them might not be even that big, but your typical bank is what you're thinking of.
Consider this: there's about 5,000 banks in the U.S. with about $23 trillion in assets, and that's just the U.S.
23 trillion? Holy cow! Okay, that's a lot of money.
The entire crypto market cap is about 950 billion, and the entire DeFi, what's called TVL, that's short for total value locked. That means how much worth of assets are locked into these DeFi protocols is about 85 billion. So the US TradFi ecosystem is 27,000% larger than the entire global DeFi TVL. Now, global DeFi TVL has gone down dramatically since what was called DeFi summer, which was when DeFi grew and grew and grew, and you had all these really speculative projects. But what we see is if DeFi Web3, Web4, now I'm hearing Web5, is going to build.
Wait a minute, I'm still on Web3. What is Web4 and Web5?
Agreed, but now I'm hearing Web5. And I never heard Web4. I guess we're going right from 3 right to 5. But I think, for DeFi Web3 to get scale, it needs to be able to bridge itself for real world capability to what's going on in TradFi. And so we at the bank, what I do is we work to build those bridges with products, with service, with relationships that allow these Web3, NFT, DAOs, digital native companies to engage in commerce in the real world through a bank that gets and wants the business. And so that's where I think that is just a huge opportunity for both ecosystems to kind of come together.
So if you're a Web3, Web4, or Web5 company, right, what are some of the challenges that those folks are running into in the TradFi world?
Sure.
Like, I know you brought up one of your specialties with the cannabis industry, and I've had clients not in that industry. That's one's a little too risky for me to personally get involved in, but I've had CBD clients and related, and I know those folks, they have banking struggles where they lose credit card processors, they get booted out of their bank, closed accounts over and over and over again. So is that some of the same stuff in the Web3 space?
For sure. And what I would add to that is, unlike cannabis, Web3 DAO NFT projects, their challenge is they have to exist in the real world, right? They have to pay their electric bill. You can't pay your electric bill in ETH, right? You can't pay.
Not yet.
You can't pay your developers in the native token of your DAO because it probably has no liquidity, right? So unless they're going to work for free, you need some real world mechanism, right? Maybe you want to bring, quote, legitimacy. Maybe you have a USDC pile and you want to, get leverage on that, but you don't want to go to a DeFi protocol. So we work with our DAOs, our Web3 clients, to understand, number one, how do we understand what the DAO really is and what the real, value proposition is? We find that some of these projects are solutions looking for a problem. There's something like 21,000 coins out there right now.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it's up to?
That number gets bigger every day. The majority of those probably have little to no utility except for someone's pet project. It could be some college kid's experiment. So I think ultimately where we want to get to a place is we want the DAO to be able to tap into capital, the banking system, USD, and the infrastructure, and ultimately kind of the KYC as well. The biggest challenge that I find talking to entrepreneurs, young people in the space, is they have no appreciation for the regulation that's coming to Web3 and how they can be prepared for it. What's going to come to Web3 is what's already in the US banking system, which is KYC, BSA, OFAC, AML. What does all that mean? You have to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of letters.
Yeah. All that means is you have to know who your counterparties are. So if you want to open up a wallet on Avalanche and have anyone send USDC to your unhosted wallet to fund your DAO, you have to know where that money is coming from, or you have to do some level of diligence to find out where that's coming from. And so I spend a lot of time talking to these folks about KYC compliance because it's coming and they have to be prepared for it. Because if it's not, they will get shut down, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that is the know your customer rules that you're talking about from the banks, right? Like you can't just take bags of cash or whatever the crypto equivalent is of a bag of cash, which is, I guess, like anonymous wallets and whatnot, not know where these funds are coming from. And why is that important? Well, we've all heard the horror stories, right, of using crypto for criminal activity and things like that. So I assume most people are not up to nefarious things in this world, and you don't want to find out that you've got some ill-gotten assets that have gotten invested into your project. So I see both sides. I see the wanting to not have any rules and not have to know these things, but at the same time, you want to get mainstream, right? You want the public to embrace this. People want to know that they're not getting involved in things that are going to get them in trouble. So there is some of that. And it's funny, it's not exactly the same rules, but every time I talk to a client that's got a complicated crypto investing history that we're trying to unravel to file their taxes, I always have this conversation. It's like, okay, you made all this money because of the lack of regulation. That was great. But you know how you can't get any of these reports now that you need for your taxes? That's also because of the lack of regulation. So it's definitely it's on, yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that, we're going to usher in some era of huge regulation. My point is that for Web3 to really get scale, for it to become what we all want it to be, which is this true decentralized version of the internet where AWS and the large players don't control data and don't control the cash flow, you need institutional adoption, and you won't ever get that until you have a framework for large investors to feel comfortable that they won't get a rug pull, that they're not dealing with foreign entities, and those things, as they keep happening, are going to stifle adoption. So it is a fine balance between, Bitcoin was essentially grown from the financial crisis and distrust with institutions, and the appeal of DeFi, which is bankless banking, it's a huge idea. It has great appeal. But if it's the Wild West forever, I don't think that I don't see it scaling without, some guardrails, and those guardrails will come in the form of some kind of regulation.
Regulation. Yeah. It'll happen eventually. I mean, you're starting to see, I see it specifically through the IRS, right? Like we see it on the tax side, and, they think that everybody that's got a Bitcoin or some crypto coin is a billionaire that's just tax dodging. But there's a lot of work, I think, that needs to be done overall in the whole system to make it accessible for people, and not just like the equivalent of a Web3 rocket scientist.
Right. But I did not know. I had to Google this. Someone told me the word esoteric, and I was like, I don't know what that word means. So I Googled it, and it means a system that's only known to a few people. It's like an insider thing. And a lot of the Web3 people, like, they only talk. I have 2 children. They're 5 and 7. I can explain to them how to use a tablet in about 10 seconds. A tablet is a pretty advanced piece of technology, right? It's apps, it's downloads, it's games. We have to stop with these 15-minute diatribes on what Web3 and DeFi are. If it takes 15 minutes, the public, again, that scale is going to be tuned out. So I think, regulation, which is going to simplify these protocols and make them more uniform to some degree, I think that's where we're going to find some real adoption long term, and again, grow the scale that we all want it to grow to.
Yeah, I agree. I've spent a lot of time, because I find this fascinating. Like my firm works with a lot of tech companies, so this was kind of the natural progression. And like the whole Miami area, you talk to somebody who's in tech, nobody's doing Web 2 anymore. Like everything is Web 3, everything's crypto, everything's NFT. So it's just kind of like the next step. So I've spent a lot of time learning about probably things that most CPAs never would learn about. But yeah, you try to talk to somebody, like I go into networking things and I'm like, all you have to do is listen for someone to say the word crypto or the word NFT, and then just be like, bet. And send them to my way. Because everyone's like, I don't know what anybody's talking about. But literally, once they said the word crypto, I'm like, oh, you have to talk to Bet. I don't know anything about it. But this is what she tells me, so go talk to her. So you were 100% right. Like, people just don't understand. They don't get it. You talk about NFTs to people, they think it's digital art, right? They're like, I don't know, it's like a picture, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's like, oh no.
Some kid took a yellow line on a white paper and sold it for like 10 ETH on OpenSea. And that probably has happened. But again, those are the kind of projects that we're, where we want to work with our clients that are building utility, play to earn, move to earn, anything in the gaming space. We do see the utility in that. And even though we're in crypto ice age, not crypto winter, we're in crypto ice age. The building continues, and we're still super bullish on the long term. So, anyone that wants to ever reach out to me and talk about how to simplify educating people on Web3, let's have that conversation. That'd be a cool one to have as a larger group.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the NFTs, because I didn't really understand it. I thought it was also like digital art. Like, I don't get it. I'm sure there's something more there. But if you really and it's more than 15 minutes. If you really dive in to the utility, as you mentioned with the NFTs, the fact that, there's a representation that's artistic, but the fact that you can tie benefits to ownership, and I like to think about I don't know if anyone's doing it, but I hear a lot of talk about it in the music space, right?
Mhm.
You have your favorite band, you buy some NFT of theirs, and they build into their smart contract, like, okay, anyone who sells this, we're going to get a royalty like forever, right? In perpetuity. Well, that's cool because, you know, a lot of artists get screwed in the music industry. Or if you own one of our
Wait, you're
NFTs,
saying
like,
that you never used Napster back in the day? Yeah,
don't
right.
get me in
Yeah.
trouble. Don't get me in
I remember.
trouble.
Did you get one of those letters? Do you remember when they were like, hey, like we're gonna send a letter if you were like a huge Napster user? Did you ever get a letter on that? I was terrified.
No,
Oh, okay. All
but
right, good
I
for
will
you.
tell you that to this day, if Metallica comes on the radio, I will
Mhm.
turn it off because the fact that they sued anybody who downloaded their music, I'm like, y'all are living in the dark age.
I remember
Like,
that.
no.
Don't bite the hand that feeds, Lars and crew. Totally agree. Don't bite
Crap,
the
now
hand
everyone's
that
gonna know
feeds.
how old I am. Like, stop it, Mark. But no, I really think it's cool. Like these people who are being really on the forefront of exploring what you can do with NFTs. Like I was saying, you know, if I had my band's one of their NFTs of my favorite band, and I got special access to, I don't know, like, you know, downloads of or streams or something of, I don't know, downloads is probably a little old fashioned these days. But access to concerts or VIP things.
Mhm.
I love a good VIP, anything at a concert. It's just so, has so much potential and there's so much creativity. And that's what I don't think the common person understands that this technology enables. They just think like, oh, look, pictures of a panda or an ape or something, right? No, it's so much more than that.
Let
And
me give you a great, yeah, I'll give you a
yeah,
great TradFi to Web3 NFT. People that don't work in banking don't understand the amount of documents that have to be filed with courts, right? Deeds, titles, mortgages, loan
yeah,
documents, surveys. There's going to come a day when rather than searching a public database for a marriage record or a deed, those are all going to be NFTs on a state controlled private permission blockchain as an NFT. Title fraud is a huge deal. The fact that you could steal someone's title is one of the most obvious use cases for NFTs that I've ever seen. We need to,
yeah, yep,
and keep in mind where we are in Florida, there's something called, doc stamps and intangibles, right? All these
yep.
documents, the revenue stream. So when we start to convert UCC filings and all those, that's going to be a hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year flowing into Web3 once we get the institutions to move to all these documents, like our birth certificates. Why don't I own my own birth certificate as an NFT? Why does it belong to a hospital up in Connecticut? I want the rights to, right? I want the rights to my marriage certificate, my divorce decree, whatever it might be, my auto title. So I think you're right. The entertainment value, music, and experiences, memberships. I mean, country clubs, yacht clubs.
Hey, that already exists.
It
Right?
does.
The
Look,
yacht
and
club.
you can just buy a yacht now and park it in your Decentraland plot to your waterfront property and put the glasses on and go look at it. But I think the use case for NFTs, the hype on that has been too much, but the underlying use case, especially in TradFi for us, is enormous, is absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
And we're bullish on that too.
Yeah. I said on a podcast that I was on that I could solve a big chunk of the IRS's problems with fraud with NFTs, right? Like if my social security number was an NFT, there would never be fraud again with the IRS. You would know who I am. You would know it was me filing. But I don't know how to build that.
You know what else they would know if you had an NFT? They would know who's voting. Nah, I don't want to go there. But I mean, look, we have to face in our lifetime, voting via the blockchain is going to become a reality, right? It's the perfect, elegant solution.
I think
it might be 50 years away. It could be
I think you're trying to solve
away.
a problem that people don't want to solve there.
Yeah, true. That's true. I guess it depends on what your perspective is. But if you want but if you want an elegant solution, that might be the way to go. Man, well, we've covered quite a bit of ground there.
Yeah. No, solve the world's problems with NFTs.
Yeah, at least the yacht problems that exist.
Mark, do you have any like cool clients that or I don't know, I'm sure all your clients are super cool, but like any cool projects that anybody's working on that you can talk about or?
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple of really cool projects that we're doing right now. So number one is we're actively involved in the process of working with a couple of the very, very large DAO DeFi pools to sell to the DAO a real world bank loan, a real world bank asset that they could use to collateralize their native stablecoin. So we're pretty far down the road on that. I think I'll have something pretty cool to announce on that in the next few weeks, but we're looking at that.
Wow.
We're looking at a lot of custody and digital asset integration within our core platform, where you would be able to come to our website, essentially stake your coins. There'd be an automatic market maker smart contract there for leverage. We're exploring that. We're exploring, I'd say in great detail, investments that we can make. We've actually done, again, some VC style investments. We've gotten into some pre-seed and kind of seed rounds with crypto hedge funds and blockchain projects. So always looking for quality, well capitalized, or at least strong cash projects to invest. And I think, at a high level, we're going to keep trying to push the envelope of what a traditional commercial bank can do with Web3, on the lending side, on the borrowing side, on the deposit side. We're going to keep finding ways to push stuff along. So, yeah, I mean, the future's bright.
Awesome.
Right? I should put my shades on, but
put your shades on too.
Mine are not gold trimmed.
Not as cool as I am. All right, well, Mark, thank you so much. I think this has been super interesting. I'm guessing most people don't realize that you can do crypto stuff with an actual bank, that you guys even exist. I'm sure it's probably going to blow a lot of people's minds. So for my last question, right? You're a cool guy. I'm sure there's some cool stuff. You have some cool hobbies or something that you can share with us, something interesting about you personally.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a quick story about how I sort of learned about blockchain and digital assets. So I wasn't always a banker. My career began in banking. I then left banking to do some other stuff. I wound up working at a nonprofit down in Haiti back in 2015, 2016. We did a project with Ray Dalio's foundation. The Dalio Foundation, they wanted to figure out how to loan money to really, really poor people to get them out of poverty. So the Dalio Foundation gave us a good sum of money, and I'm down in Haiti trying to disperse loans to essential microfinance borrowers. I'm in a jungle in Haiti, and I have to give this farmer 20,000 goud, which is the Haitian currency. It's not a lot of money. And I got to figure out how to actually get him Haitian goud, which is hard, to go to a bank, to courier it. It's not a great idea. So I found this system called Moncash, which was text cash over cell phone network. Now, this was 7 years ago, really before Venmo, PayPal, Zelle were ubiquitous as they are now. So as I realized that I could text money, I began to sort of look into, there has to be a better way to move money. And that's when I found the famous Bitcoin white paper in 2015. So not many people take the orange pill in the middle of a Haitian jungle. But that was me. That's my cool story. That's as cool as it gets.
That is cool. That is really cool. What an interesting way to kind of get into that world. And it's funny. I get the Bitcoin magazine, and the first issue that I got, I think it was a year ago, maybe a little less. They talked about utilizing crypto in countries with really unstable money. And how us folks with our US dollars don't appreciate that it's hard to move currency, and it's hard to get it to people in remote locations. And you just don't think about it because the most rural place in America is not that rural, right? And you're still on the American dollar.
$1 is $1. And we could do a whole tangent on this, but people in our country don't understand, most of them don't understand how monetary policy is done in the developing world by the central banks of the developing world. I'm super bullish on Bitcoin, as I don't think Bitcoin will ever, nor should it become, the global reserve currency of the world. But I do believe that developing countries who get their currency debased and manipulated by unstable monetary policy, Bitcoin is the answer to much of what I think ails them. So I'm excited to see, more experiments, go on. So I guess we're all going to stay tuned to that one as well, right?
Yeah, I guess we are. All right, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to come talk with us.
Thank you,
And
Bet World.
Bet World. Cool. And I'm hoping you'll come back at some point. We'll have some new cool things to talk about.
My pleasure.
That's it.
Thank you for sticking around. I hope you learned something new. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel if you want to continue improving your tax and financial literacy. Bye.